though. And then obviously when it comes to Ian, we're looking at the Whimsicott as that massive sort of form of disruption. There is a good amount of disruption from the Gengar as well. We've seen the Whimsicott Gengar pairing do a lot of work coming into this final. And I wonder if Will has an answer to that. You know, they've obviously seen each other's teams, very ready for it. And we're just about to dive right on in here.
Yeah, so once again, this is the finals of the 2017 Florida Regional Championships. Will Collin versus Ian McLaughlin. Let's get this party started. Raichu and Salamence led on Will's side of the field against Ian's Gengar and Whimsicott. So we are not going to see that Xerneas and Salamence lead that he's relied on for much of today and possibly yesterday as well.
No, we don't definitely see it changing up. All day today we've seen Ian throw out Smeargle very early on in the game. And today for the first time he decides, no, I don't want to go Smeargle, I'm going to use the Whimsicott Gengar. We saw that actually come out from Giovanni Costa early on the tournament. We saw how much work it does. So it'll be interesting to see if Ian's as well versed in how to do it. But it's not going to go all his way. There is still, of course, the Raichu on Will's side of the field. Maybe able to put a Fake Out down into the Whimsicott slot. Stop it doing all it wants right off the bat in particular. And Salamence in Mega Evolving after this Gengar, still going to be offensive pressure coming out.
Yeah, there definitely is still a lot of offensive pressure on Ian's side of the field. Mega Evolving his Gengar, going for Whimsicott, using that Moonblast to target that Mega Salamence. It does not get that knockout. Sludge Bomb from Gengar, though, could certainly finish the job, and it does, knocking out that Salamence before it has a chance to move this turn. Raichu capitalizing on this opportunity, using it to nuzzle that Whimsicott. While it will not do a lot of damage, and it won't stop the Prankster ability, it will paralyze it, meaning there is a chance that Whimsicott will be unable to move in future turns of this battle.
Yeah, I like watching Ian use Whimsicott offensively here. It's in a really good position when it was in that lead to be offensive and throw out big Moonblasts and such. But to see him actually just double into that Salamence, really good play. Very brave play though by Ian. I mean, when we see Salamence hit the field, most of the time we see the player will protect the Salamence, turn it Mega Evolve, so it does get to benefit from that speed the next turn. Will, I think, you know, assumes Ian's going to guess that he's going to protect it, but he doesn't protect it. But Ian just, because he's not too scared of the Raichu, I don't think, he just throws two attacks into the slot where the Salamence resides and just catches him short, you know, almost caught with his pants down a little bit there, just leaving Salamence unprotected.
Yes, and we do see the Kyogre take the field in that Salamence's place.
Yeah, very safe there from Will.
Very safe.
Show too much of his team, and we're going to see the Groudon switching right away from Ian though, so not such a great time for Kyogre to be on the field at all.
Not such a great time at all. That Groudon will take this opportunity to set up Sunlight as the form of weather. So if Kyogre was planning on attacking with something like an Origin Pulse, maybe a Water Spout or a Scald, as we have seen in previous rounds of this tournament from the various Kyogres brought by trainers, it'll be unable to do so. Gengar going for that disable onto the Nuzzle. Raichu is unable to attack this turn, but Kyogre saw the Groudon switch incoming and went for an Ice Beam into that slot, and it deals a significant chunk of damage.
Yeah, one from Will's side and perspective we're seeing it from, you know, one prediction went really well. He predicted the Groudon to come in, so he attacks with the Ice Beam. It would have been nice to hit the Whimsicott, but does significant damage to the Groudon actually. He does kind of get it wrong though. He does try and Nuzzle when he knows Gengar has the disable. We see Raichu just start the turn with Feint though.
Feint and Gengar going for a second disable, this time into Kyogre's Ice Beam, allowing Groudon to essentially get a substitute up for free. You know, without Ice Beam and potentially without any other attacks that can attack with the Sunlight up, I think that Kyogre is stranded.
Yeah, this is a different way to play it. We saw it yesterday a little bit. We're just using it to control the weather, you know, obviously using the Shadow Tag to keep the weather, but he's keeping Kyogre in, and Kyogre is now unable to attack unless it's got something, potentially a Thunder it may be able to throw towards Gengar. It's likely just going to have two water attacks, protect an Ice Beam. Now with the Ice Beam disabled, it's just not going to be able to do anything at all.
No, so it protects, trying to stall out the remainder of that disable. Raichu going for the Feint into Groudon. It looks like Gengar used Sludge Bomb to attack that Kyogre. Groudon going for a massive Precipice Blades, knocking out that Raichu.
Yeah, very safe play from Ian. And he's at liberty to do something like that with, of course, the Groudon on the field. I think it's a bit of a blessing there for Will that he gets rid of Raichu. I don't think Raichu was going to be able to do too much to either of these Pokemon on the field. Not at all the Groudon, and not really much to the Gengar, especially after Nuzzle got disabled. So, very beneficial play in a way, but of course, the Pokemon advantage sits very safely in Ian's favor, and we're just going to see Will lock in the forfeit immediately. got some of the information he needs. He just doesn't want to play out the rest of this game, though, and potentially give up secrets on his side of the field.
Yeah, a very quick forfeit from Will, but you know what? That's just what happens. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it's better to keep the information on your side of the field. And you know, knowing what he knows now, knowing that we saw that Gengar and Whimsicott lead that gave Ian the win from that last round, we'll have to see if he's able to compensate for it this time.
Yeah, we did see just a very safe lead, a very disruptive lead that he really likes. So it's going well, I think. We are, of course, just going to see Will try and adapt here. That's exactly what he did in his semi-final, though. You know, he lost the first game to Wolfie and came back and won the next one. So he knows this team very well. He knows the kind of comebacks. And we do see identical leads come out this time.
We do. Again, that Salamence and Raichu from Will into that Gengar and Whimsicott from Ian. I wonder if Will's going to play this a little bit differently this time around to try and be at an advantage instead of a disadvantage at the beginning of the next turn.
Yeah, I feel like Will is playing the mind game with the Protect now. It's definitely kind of a guessing game and how well he knows Ian's playstyle. We are going to see the Mega Evolutions, and then it's going to be interesting to see if Will actually decides to protect the Salamence after the Mega Evolution this time, and if he does, did Ian throw 2 attacks at it again?
Yeah, and both of these trainers took no time at all to select their moves there, so it's almost like they knew immediately upon seeing these leads exactly what they would play. Raichu faking out that Whimsicott. It's not going to be able to move this turn. Gengar sludge bombing the Salamence, so while it will do a massive amount of damage and poison the Salamence, that is not a knockout. Salamence is free to use its Hyper Voice now to potentially knock out that Whimsicott with some massive damage, deal enough damage on Gengar that it is in range for a knockout within the next couple of turns. But you know, that poison, and I'm sure that Gengar has Protect, knowing that it does pack that Shadow Tag ability and wants to stay alive on the field as long as possible. That poison's definitely going to haunt Will.
Yeah, but I think getting rid of the Whimsicott is a really big thing for Will there, especially because he quite bravely used Fake Out from the Raichu. If the Whimsicott on Ian's side of the field does have Encore, which we've seen today, you know, he was going to be trapped into Fake Out, so getting rid of it with the combination of Fake Out and the Hyper Voice coming down, very good play for Will. Obviously getting the Salamence poisoned isn't ideal, but with the fact Ian brought in the Salamence, it might be okay for him to lose the Salamence now. It's going to be under a lot of pressure. We see Gengar, though, just going for that Protect.
Xerneas protecting as well, stalling out this last turn with Salamence on the field, allowing the poison to do its job and knock it out. Also preventing Raichu from nuzzling that Xerneas, which could have been a response from, you know, if we saw Geomancy there. Salamence, though, I think it wins the round. It survives that poison with just 1 HP. It has another turn to potentially deal some damage now.
Yeah, I don't know if Will knew that number, but he's obviously been able to calculate it very, very close, and maybe being able to get a little more damage off of the Salamence is going to be really good. Gengar going for the Disable, though. Yeah,
Gengar not wanting to allow Raichu to paralyze that Xerneas, to allow it to, you know, capitalize a lot on nerfing the speed after it gets a boost from a Geomancy. We're also going to see Raichu endeavor that Xerneas, so great information for Ian if we do see a game 3, but for now he's going to use that Geomancy. He's going to power up, and this Xerneas now is set up to start sweeping.
Yeah, and that's Ian's thing, and that's how he's been winning games all day, and all day yesterday too. Once he gets his Xerneas into a winning position, he just plays with it so smartly. I mean, neither of the Pokemon on the field right now, obviously something's going to come in for Salamence while that poison ticks down, are going to be able to take it out, but he just knows that he can win games with Xerneas, and his team supports the Xerneas very, very well. It wouldn't shock me to see him perhaps bring in the Kangaskhan now, but just instead of that, he just ignores my advice and brings in the Groudon, though.
We are going to see the Groudon come in on the field versus Will's Kyogre, and it does indeed look like that Groudon is faster than the Kyogre. It will Primal Revert first, allowing Kyogre to ensure that it gets the weather it wants on the field for this next turn. That being said, don't count Groudon out. While it will be unable to use any Fire-type attacks in this turn, you know, Groudon is a very good Pokemon when it comes to moves like Precipice Blades, maybe Earth Power, and that Xerneas is supercharged right now. I think the momentum is definitely still in Ian's favor, and Will really needs to think hard to how he's going to respond to the situation on the field right now.
Oh, for sure. And we see Will actually being quite smart in the way he's trained his Kyogre. He knows, and I talked to him a little bit about it last night, actually. He said to me, you know, I want to make sure my Kyogre's always the slowest, so it always gets the rain out, because that's how you're going to win. So maybe going to force a few switches here. It's just going to protect those, seeing if he can bait a Protect out from the other side of the field, perhaps.
Moonblast from that Xerneas into the protecting Kyogre. It looks like we saw an endeavor there from Raichu. Groudon using Substitute to capitalize on this Protect turn from that Kyogre.
Yeah, Raichu there endeavored Xerneas the turn before, so we know it's at 140 hit points exactly. I think what Raichu's looking to do there is take the Dazzling Gleam from the Xerneas. Hopefully he knows the calculation, and if it's the Assault Vest Raichu we see a lot, it is going to be able to survive it, and then it gets through that and then lowers it, but it doesn't, and it's still there this turn to throw out the Feint.
Yeah, it's still there throughout the Feint. We're going to see another Moonblast from that Xerneas. Precipice Blades, Raichu dodges it. It's going to connect with that Kyogre, though. Will it do enough for the knockout? It does. So that was a crit as well. Not sure if that mattered, but certainly a great move for Ian there.
Yeah, fantastic move for Ian, and we see he's not even scared of the Kyogre purely because that Substitute is up. We've only seen one Substitute Groudon today, and I think that really affected how the game plays out. I like that Will brought the Raichu to this matchup to try and deal with the Geomancy from Ian's side of the field. That's one really consistent way to deal with it. But I feel like the threat of the Groudon has always just kept that Raichu in check. And especially with Nuzzle disabled, it's been nigh on impossible for it to do anything. So Ian, seeing what Will's going to bring, he's predicted it very, very effectively throughout. He just made the right choices in team preview on both games, I think, and put Will really at a disadvantage. Not over yet, though, of course. Will does have his Xerneas, but his isn't boosted by Geomancy.
A second Feint from that Raichu, dealing a little bit of chip damage to Xerneas. Moonblast from Xerneas into Will Xerneas. It barely holds on with 34 HP. Double Avoid on the Precipice Blades, allowing Will Xerneas to get up its own Geomancy. You know, just as you said, this game certainly is not over yet.
Yeah, and that Double Avoid, there's the downfall of using Precipice Blades. I know some trainers really don't like it. That's what they talk about some of the Earth Power, but there's not really a better move. Getting that Double Avoid means Will does have the turn. He plays the turn perfectly, knowing that's what he needs to do. He also gets to a point where Nuzzle isn't disabled anymore, so maybe, although that Xerneas is dangerously low, might be able to find a way around. I still think it's hard for Will to find a win condition when, of course, the Substitute is up for the Groudon. But if he could keep avoiding attacks, then he could be doing really well for himself.
Double protect. Both of these Xerneas are protecting this turn. Raichu finally using that Nuzzle, but unfortunately it will not be able to attack that Xerneas. And Raichu dodging yet another Precipice Blades from that Groudon.
Yeah, I think both the Xerneas protected this turn, and the next turn we do actually get to figure out, you know, who's quicker. Both of them we've seen are using this bulkier variety, but it's just going to come down to the finesse of the training that they go for.
Will Xerneas moving first with that Dazzling Gleam. Will it knock out the Xerneas on Ian's side of the field? It does not. Groudon Substitute does go away. We will see another Dazzling Gleam, this time from Ian Xerneas. It picks up the knockout onto Xerneas on Will's side of the field. Poor Raichu is left. It doesn't get the Nuzzle. It actually targeted that Groudon, who will then retaliate with a Precipice Blades connecting with that Raichu, knocking it out. And Ian McLaughlin is your 2017 Florida Regional Champion. Well played to both of these trainers.
Yeah, fantastic game played by Ian there. He knew what he needed to do from the outset.